which we'll get to in a moment. But because we know
so it's not too bad.
So many of you are on deadlines that are coming up imminently, we are going to go straight into your questions to the Olympic, Commonwealth, European and World Champion Greg Rutherford, starting with Martha Cummins.
Greg, I was wondering about the new rule. Obviously in Rome you decided to skip 2 jumps.
Yeah.
You said it's ridiculous. Why do you think it's so ridiculous?
I think the problem is when you're doing a speed power based event and putting as much force and everything else for your body as we do round to round, asking somebody to try and do that after literally 2 or 3 minutes worth of rest, it's not performance led at all. It's purely trying to fit things in and rush it through as quick as possible, which I don't think is conducive to good jumps, to maintaining your body in a good position, and as I said, I feel as if it's dangerous to the athletes. We do put an awful lot of force through our body each time, and the time you get in a full sort of 8-person final, that gives you enough time to really reset and make sure your body's feeling okay and everything else. When you finish jumping and then you come back up and the people tell you, right, go again, you're not ready to do it. So from that point of view, I think it's a ridiculous idea.
Do you think about dropping out of this consequently?
Yeah, do you know what? Because in Rome as well, I was very keen to try and jump, and I would like to have taken the 6 jumps to sort of see what I could put out, because it started well again. Round 2, I jumped a half decent jump, and I genuinely thought I could go on to jump a bit further. I think 3, I had a really nice foul, and I thought, right, this is a good day for it. But by the time I got out of the pit, talked to coaches, and then walked back up, Rush was back on the runway, and I was sort of thinking, well, that means I'm going to be going again in about 2 minutes, if that. So it doesn't work. And then the other silly thing, which they haven't figured out, because they're not giving us rest, equally because they're trying to rush it through, it then means other people are then going to pass. So in that first round, Rush goes down and jumps, then all 3 of us pass. He then has to go straight away again. So you're in a scenario where you're thinking, like, but first of all, poor him, but like, simple, who's that helping? So it's not useful for anybody. And then obviously, then I think the second round, I think Marquise took one, and then the others, then it was all a bit all over the place. And then we're trying to like coordinate each other, which is not what it's about. We're not out there sort of trying to say, well, are you going to jump or not? Because if you're not, then I won't, because that means nobody's jumped. And I mean, that's not how a competition should be. We're out there to try and jump as far as we can and get it done. You wouldn't ask a sprinter to go and run as fast at 100 metres as you possibly could, then say 4 minutes later, say, okay, we'll go and do it again, now do it quicker. Because it wouldn't work, would it? And you can't do it. When you exert that much force through your body, it's not good trying to do it 2 minutes again later.
Can you lobby the IAAF? You have a powerful voice. Can you not say something?
Oh, I'd like to, yeah. And well, the interesting thing is, I mean, via social media and everything else, I think every single jumper and thrower that's been involved in it is saying that it's not a particularly good idea. Obviously, and I say this from a good place. I always feel every competition I would have the ability to get 6 jumps no matter what. If you put 2 people in, if you put 4 people in, I always believe I'll jump far enough in order to get myself in that position. So from where I'm talking from, it's not a position of saying, well, I fear that I might miss out, because I don't believe that at all. What I feel is, though, others are going to miss out, and the core of the event as it is, this idea of us all basically having a bit of a battle, if you like. Somebody can go from being in 8th place to then winning a competition, which is what happened to me in my first ever Diamond League win in Eugene in 2011. You lose that aspect of the event, and what we then try to create here, just a pointless field event that you just go in, a few people, you just get it done, and then we get it out of the way. We shouldn't be rushing through these events, we should be championing them and actually trying to sort of encourage people to perform well.
I mean, that's the other problem as well. I mean, watching it, it's kind of not a great spectacle, and it's not you guys' fault, because you need the recovery, but you know, you want to promote the long jump, and yet you don't really know what's going on when you're a spectator either.
Yeah, completely. Look, you're not going to get big jumps out of the way the rules go at the moment. You'll see probably the bigger jumps in the first 3, and then like the odd person will probably catch one if they feel ready enough or whatever else. Or as what I did on Thursday night, I skipped 2 rounds and then go for it in the last. Just happened as I got on the runway as well, then a donut with a camera decided to stand on right by the takeoff board as well, so I couldn't even go then. So you will still get probably the odd one, but maybe the 6th. But as I say, people watching aren't going to have any idea what's going on.
Do you have a sense whether it might change the time for the Olympics? I mean, given everyone is so opposed, I haven't found a single person that's...
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't know. Apparently, speaking to some other coaches and stuff, they've had conversations with some of the meeting organisers, and apparently they're all saying that they've made a mistake and they realise it has to change. But equally, you think about every guy that finished 4th, 5th, 6th or 7th, 8th or whatever else, sorry, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, those guys didn't have a chance in the other Diamond Leagues, and you're now taking something away from them. So equally, if you then change the rule midway, they're going to probably feel a little bit frustrated. But equally, I mean, if it would have been me, then I'd be very happy to change it back now either way. But I feel it needs to change.
Does it impact on your ambitions for the Olympics either way? Given
no, I don't think it has any impact on my Olympic bid at all. All it impacts on is which competitions I choose to do, because I've got to be totally serious. In the last 2 Diamond Leagues leading towards the Olympics, I may look for competition outside of the Diamond League purely to be able to know I've got the time and I can sort of expel my energy properly. Because you think, in the Olympics it's not going to be like that, so what on earth are we doing here? Like we've created a new event within an event which has no use for the event. So we'll see. So we're discussing that, me and my manager Stefan have been talking about which competitions and what others are available around the time of I guess Monaco and London to potentially change to.
So you might skip the anniversary games?
Well, I don't know. Like, look, it's 3 weeks before Olympic time. I've got to be serious and I've got to be honest here. I can't worry about a Diamond League event. There'll always be another Diamond League event next year. For me, this could possibly be my last Olympic Games. I don't know. If my body's fit and healthy, I'll obviously go for one more after this. But I want to retain my Olympic gold medal this year. I want to be 4 years as the current Olympic champion, and I think I can do that. And especially the way this year started, so I'm not going to put that in risk at all. If we look at 2012, I went to Madrid, picked up a slight injury. That was a month before, and then pulled out of what was Crystal Palace at that point. Well, the rest is history, I guess. So I'll make decisions based upon me winning an Olympic gold medal, not about Diamond League events, to be honest.
Any other questions? Should we talk a little bit about that tomorrow?
Oh yeah. Is there a competition tomorrow? Right.
When England won the Rugby World Cup, Clive Woodward said the biggest thing coming into it, psychologically and everything else, was going undefeated for 2 years. You were, between championships, which you now have an amazing record at, you were always a little bit in and out, and you're now winning stuff in between. Are you trying to become unbeatable? Is that part of the process, do you think?
That would be very nice. I think every athlete wants to be unbeatable. It's obviously not an easy feat at all. I mean, especially now, I would like to say this year, I think there's some very good long jumpers coming into the field, and people progressing to a level where it's going to be probably better than it has been for the last few years. But no, I always said, and I always have said it, I go to every competition wanting to win and believing I have the ability to win. It's just mitigating circumstances sometimes, which means we don't. But at the moment, I've been in good form. We're being quite clever with competitions that we're picking. Obviously, as I say, again, having 2 Diamond Leagues within 3-4 days of each other isn't ideal, but equally, I love coming to Birmingham, I love competing here. I've had a pretty good track record here, so I aim to go out tomorrow again and win again. That's the plan, and hopefully keep doing that for the next 6 or 7, and then I can have a few more championships, which would be nice.
And it's a slightly unusual competition in that you've got 2 reigning Olympic champions in the same comp. We had him here earlier. We always butter him up a bit because he's your most likely house purchase.
I briefly saw a tweet. I haven't seen what's been said or whatever else, but I briefly saw something about Christian Taylor discussing buying my house or something, but I'm not quite sure what that's stemmed from.
You've got too much time on your hands if you've been able to build something like that. You would love to come and see it.
That's having a very useful builder of a dad, actually, to be totally honest. Yeah, I don't think my time would have been very permitting to actually put a long jump runway in. But I am very excited about the possibility of hosting the meet that I've mentioned. Again, I'm trying to delegate so I don't have to deal with most of the stresses of that. Poor Susie's going to have 100 people probably in the back garden, which I don't think she'll be massively chuffed about. But it's again, we're talking about the issues that surround the sport at the moment, which is what happened with this change. Equally, I believe we need to change the sport completely to a certain degree to encourage people to get back involved with it and encourage people to watch the sport as well. The street games, as I've been a huge advocate for, I think is a great process and a great way of starting that. If I can have something fun in my back garden where I believe a few of you will be invited to come and see it and possibly try it as well. I'm going to run that past a few of you as well. I think we might have a scenario where we can start taking athletics to different places. Germany, they're fantastic at having like the mall meets. I think that's another great idea for the indoors. And I would like to be somebody who champions that in the UK as well, because I think we have obviously a fantastic history of track and field here. I think people, when they see it, they love watching it. We just need to take it to them in order for them to rekindle that love for it, I think.
Christian's he's got nothing to lose. It's not his #1 event. He's an 19 man. He knows that the weather is rarely like this is forecast tomorrow in Britain. Could be a bit of a danger, couldn't he? He could pop one.
Yeah, I tell you what, up until, what was it, 2 years ago or whatever else, I think he always beat me in Birmingham. It was a bit of a nightmare for me. I think equally it always came after either an Olympics or something else, so maybe I was a little bit tired and then spent 1 or 2 nights out. And that hasn't happened, apart from a travel back from Rome yesterday. But no, I think Christian Taylor is a fantastic athlete. I mean, we're not just looking at a triple jump here, we're looking at a guy who can run exceptionally fast for a 400, as he's featured in a 4x4 for America before. We've got a guy who can long jump really well as well. So he's an incredible competitor and a great athlete. But I'd like to say that I am a long jumper first and foremost. So I think that's my advantage slightly.
Can you triple? Have you tripled seriously for years?
No, I haven't. No, I once tried it, I think for Milton Keynes Athletics Club when I was about 14 or so, and I did it off of a short approach. I did alright actually, I think I went like 13.5 meters or something off of a few strides. But no, I think my body's taken enough of a pounding from this event, let alone try the TJ as well. I admire people who do the triple jump because it's incredibly taxing on the body. So someone like Christian who can do multiple, he's very lucky to have a body that can withstand that.
And what constitutes a successful day for you tomorrow in Birmingham? The win, or are you looking to maintain above 820 every comp? Or?
Yeah, that'd be lovely. I mean, I've been very lucky that all of last year I had the perfect season, if you like, to have every competition over 8 metres. That's what I've set myself now, no matter what. Every competition, doesn't matter if it's bad conditions, good conditions, whatever, it has to be an 8 metre start. But on top of that, I always want to improve. I jumped 8:31 on Thursday night. As long as weather's permitting, my body feels good, then I fully expect to jump further than that tomorrow. We'll see what the other guys do, but for me it's always about coming away with a win from here and jumping well. Last year, as I say, we had another good day last year, which was great. I managed the 35 and I'd like to improve on that.
And finally, just to recap, you got out of your car and straight into the photo. It was anti-doping that detained you this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, so yeah, again, apologies obviously for you guys having to wait around for me. Don't write anything like that guy did last year about after I signed those autographs. So I appreciate you didn't anyway. But no, this is the honest part of the sport, isn't it? Equally, it's frustrating that you get held up, but I had to have blood and urine taken this morning. I'm pleased it happened because I think it's a good thing. I was tested a few weeks ago, I'm tested again. I think we're very good in this country at doing so. Sadly, I believe still we're not that great around the rest of the world, but it's another show that this is what is the most important thing about cleaning up the sport. People missing press conferences because they're having their urine and blood taken. So that did happen. I do apologise for you being a bit late entering your stories, but I think it's for a relatively important matter.
And very last thing, Mo was first up and he paid tribute to Muhammad Ali. Is he somebody that featured in your life as an icon when you were growing up?
Yeah, I think with someone like Muhammad Ali, it's incredibly sad that he's passed. It's more about the man that we all know because he was so good outside of the ring as well. I think I talked about this briefly last year about sports people. I think they have a huge job of being generally good people and champion sport and acting well. I think we'll all remember that from someone like Muhammad Ali. So 2016 has been a bit of a rough year for people passing away, so hopefully it ends there. But a hugely inspirational man with some incredible quotes as well, which I think most people have either had on their wall or seen or gone over before. So yeah, real loss for sport and the world actually. Good, well, thank you very much for joining us straight away. Good luck tomorrow. Yeah, thanks, and sorry again for making you late. Cheers, guys. No, lovely. Well, thanks, guys. You just got back from Italy as well. So, oh, was it Spain? Sorry. Oh, nice. Nice.